Underwriting for the Money Doctor Show is provided by Ryan and Casey Liquors, Main Street, Greenfield. Exploring the world one glass at a time. Weld Communications, Marketing and Publicity. Helping businesses spread the word in the Pioneer Valley and beyond. www.weldwords.com. Dr. Glenn Brooks, at the office of Glenn Brooks and Spa on the Green. 413-565-4400. drglenbrooks.com. Video Broadcast Services. Complete marketing services for your business. 480-200-4222. videobroadcastservices.com. Richard Wiedegartner, LMT, Neuromuscular Massage Therapy. For pain relief, call 413-773-5775. rwmassagetherapy.com. Magic Wings Butterfly Conservatory. 4,000 butterflies flying year-round. 413-665-2805. magicwings.com. The law offices of Schatz, Schwartz & Fenton, P.C., providing counseling and advocacy services that are always right on the money. ssfpc.com.
There's a better life if I could be debt-free, but oh, my money is a mystery. I was feeling overwhelmed and it was wearing thin when I knocked on the door and heard the doctor's in. Oh, the doctor's in, the doctor's in. She got the right prescription to help you win. Oh, the doctor's in, the money doctor's in.
Hello and welcome to the Money Doctor Show. I'm Dr. Frances Rahaim, president of Power Down Debt, a positive debt management company. We have in the studio today an author of a book, a local author actually, Vincent Interlande, and the book is called Emotional Transition. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about today, is the emotional transition that Vince went through in his life, which prompted him to start writing this book. So welcome, Vince.
Well, glad to be here. Thank you, Dr. Rahaim.
Thanks. Now, I remember talking to you on the phone, and you said it's been a tough dozen years. So
yeah, it's been.
Can you give us a little background?
Well, through all the early days of growing up and so forth, I had a little. I was the oldest person in the family, oldest kid, a lot of responsibilities and so forth. And
sure.
So I went through life just winging it. Said, okay, I'm responsible for this, I'm responsible for that, and my father's in the service, so I was taking care of kids and so forth. And life went on.
Grew up fast.
I went through sports in high school, went through the normal things kids do. Got married, 30 years of marriage, and a lot of changes in my life took place. And I never really concentrated or thought about the changes, except something's not. I did think once in a while something wasn't jiving, but I said, I'll keep moving on like I normally do.
Now you have a bachelor's in physical education and you taught.
Bachelor's physical education and education.
Okay.
And
so what's your background in teaching? Give us a little background
I
here.
taught 3 years in Newton Elementary School and Federal North in the classroom, 4th grade, and then I went into physical education.
Yeah.
And politics got to me. I was a young 31-year-old.
Yep.
And I was doing contracting work on the side, so I just got over anxious about the politics, and I don't like playing games.
Okay.
So what happened is that I went through some
That got
changes.
you out of it.
Got out of it, got into contracting, got my license.
Yep.
Full-fledged license. I did everything from painting to chimneys to decks, building. I mean, I did the whole gambit of regular household. I didn't do industrial, but I did all residential.
So you're a hands-on kind of a guy.
Yeah.
Who's writing poetry
and
writing
prose.
Poetry.
Well, it's all creative now.
And yes, it is all
it's
creative.
It's all creative, and that's actually the link, and I've stepped it up one step further, which we'll talk about a little bit later, I guess. But I got into the contracting work, and I was doing it quite well for myself, but I wasn't large enough to have a crew, so I winged it.
Sure.
I even pruned apple trees during the winter, and
I read that. 15 years of apple pruning.
15 years of that, climbing trees and under sub-zero weather, and a bunch of friends that broke me out of my little niche of being little, stern, and sober, and not sober, but kind of disciplined to walk the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
But they were kind of nice, and they helped me break the ice a little bit. But it was good work too, And
yes.
So, I mean, it just...
and you didn't have to climb very far. You're a big guy. How tall are you?
I'm only 6'2".
You're only 6'2".
No,
Well, you're imposing.
I was taller than everybody
Large
else,
figure.
but the only problem is when a limb broke, I took a lot of them down with me.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was, you just deal with it, and no broken bones.
Yeah.
And everybody just get back up in the tree.
So it sounds like you're kind of going through life, but you're not doing a lot of self-actualization, or...
Well, that's
sounds
about
like
it.
you were doing okay.
I was just doing what I thought I was supposed to do. And
Yeah.
the biggest thing, the conclusion I came down with once before is that I was taking things for granted. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Supposed to work. I mean, I got married, like I said. I had 2 children,
Right.
quick.
Yeah.
3 years apart, but still quick within a little time period.
Yeah.
And, I bought an older house, which probably, as my friend once told me, it was a dinosaur.
Yeah.
I said, I can do it.
I'm a contractor.
I'm a contractor.
Right.
So, I mean, and it ended up tearing me down.
Yeah.
A lot of
It
responsibility.
ended up tearing you down.
It tore me down.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. And I didn't stop working on it because I knew I could do it. And I was working at the same time, and I was building somebody else's house,
Right.
tearing mine down.
Right.
And then every once in a while I'd be able to
Yeah.
build something back up. Well, by year 2000, my former wife had enough, and I understood. It was 20 years, the house wasn't finished. I mean, I rebuilt it from the ground up.
Yep.
Foundation, everything.
Yeah. Rebuilt the house.
Rebuilt.
Marriage was
And,
not so much.
yeah.
Not so much
The house
rebuilt,
was
right?
going
Yeah.
this way, the marriage, which
Yeah.
I didn't fully understand was going that
Right.
way.
Sure.
And
Just
by
a
the year
common tale.
2000, my 2
Yeah.
children are old enough, they're going out on their own, so the empty nest syndrome really didn't kick in.
Right. Right.
And then,
Yeah.
except when finally at the divorce, which was an amiable divorce, I even moved her on Father's Day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was no hard feelings. We had a
Right.
nice,
You agreed to disagree, and
we had a nice 4-hour
Yeah.
talk one night
yeah.
with a pot of coffee going down my stomach and
Yeah.
maintaining. And I understood where she was coming from. And I think that's when things started to click a little bit in my life. And I didn't really think about it until I moved her out. My son helped.
Yeah.
And then I found myself in the house that I had to decide what to do because I was at the point of refinishing now. I mean,
It's a
doing the
little
finish
wake-up
work.
call, though, right? Now what you've been
Well,
doing this house
nobody's
for
there.
is gone. Right.
Nobody's there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, here I am. I've got in my desk is my kitchen table, my computer desk, my business desk. I had a store at the time in Turner's Falls called Secondhand Rose.
Yeah.
So I was maintaining that fine and trying to maintain going through the divorce. And I had a dog, which was my sole survivor.
What was the dog's name?
Brutus.
Brutus.
Yeah,
Brutus.
well, it came from a litter
Okay.
of German Shepherds,
Yep.
but it was the only one that looked like a golden retriever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and my daughter back in 1991 says, I want that one. And it ended up being my dog.
Of course.
I took it to work with me, brought it home,
Sure.
and to the point that if I didn't take it to work, it destroyed only my office.
Ah, smart dog.
Yeah, it was,
Sure.
okay, you're coming.
Revenge.
'Cause what are you doing? It's raining.
Yeah. So the dog gets you through?
Yeah, it got me through. But,
Yeah.
once like I said, going back to when the house is empty,
Mm-hmm.
I'm there sleeping on a couch, and I think I mentioned a little bit on the phone of it. I woke up one night, and I actually thought that there were little gremlins running around,
Yeah.
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 And I said, I'm not that crazy. I can control my manners. I always have. I'm strong internally. I'm,
Sure.
fortitude and everything else. But that night was the first time that I actually felt like I was being haunted by something. And it was really the strangest feeling. And I said, what the heck's going on here? A guy like me, at that time I was a lot stronger than I am now because of all the work I did. And I said, I'm not a macho man, but come on.
Is that when you wrote Shadows in the Dark?
That's the
Is
night.
it Shadows in the Night or Shadows in the Dark?
Shadows in the Dark.
In the Dark, it is, yeah.
And that is, I started writing immediately. Because what happened is that I turned the light on, of course, to see if dogs or animals were in the house, and they weren't.
Yeah.
I turned the light off again, and I just sat and watched, and I started having a realization about something, and this is where the emotions of everything that was going on prior to this time period caught up to me.
Right.
In actuality, I started realizing that I was starting to look inside of me. And what was inside of me was coming out through the shadows in the night, you know, and I says, you know something? I think it's time to take a look at who I am and what I am, and that's what I did, you know. And I said, I hope everybody else doesn't think I'm kind of crazy or something. But the thing is, I don't think enough people do that.
Well, I think you're very brave to be able to say, you know, this is what happened to me. And that's really what your book is about.
No, I don't worry about...
These are things that happen to me that I'm trying to help somebody else by writing about.
I've never worried about what other people think of me, per se. I mean, I don't want to look like an idiot, of course. I don't want to do something stupid. But I don't also want to hide and, you know, make it look like everything is the princess and prince of you know, England doing their thing and everything's grand, you know, grandeur. It's not, you know, and that's what it comes down to. And everything isn't great.
Right. You were doing that in life. You're doing what you, as you said, you were doing what you were expected to do.
Expectations.
How you expected it to look, and
without questioning.
And when it all comes crashing down around you, it's a little wake-up call.
Oh yeah. And my parents had a lot to do with all this because they were from the old times, the old ways. My father Italian, my mother a Vermont Yankee, as we called her.
Yes.
My father called her a great sergeant.
A great sergeant?
Oh yeah, man, you don't want to cross her.
Really? Your father was from Italy?
Actually, he was born in the United States after my grandfather moved here. Yep. And his mother passed away early. She was only like 4'9", 4'10".
Tiny little Italian
And
woman.
once she had my other uncle at birth, it was too much for her and she passed away. So now you got an Italian grandfather, well, my grandfather, bringing up 4 boys.
Yep.
And my grandfather's sister lived next door, and he didn't cross paths with her either.
No.
You know, and her husband, you know, same old thing. They're all Italian.
Yeah.
Don't you dare.
Yep.
So here you got 4
Strong
boys.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, what do? You don't.
You're not sitting around
you...
talking about poetry. That's for sure. No.
But anyway, my parents, as strong, as hard as they were, I sometimes felt that they were too hard, didn't have the sensitivity, didn't have the love. But I had to learn. When 2000 came around, I had, like I said, take an introspective look at myself and look at my hard times, and I said, I can't scapegoat that. I can't scapegoat that. That's the easy way out.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to do that. So that's why I started looking at myself, and I says, the only way I'm going to get out of this and learn something, you know, is to look at myself, and that's what I did. So when I wrote that first poem, I kept on writing and writing and writing, and I started writing not just poems, but I wrote little segments of what was going on, little thoughts. I mean, some of it was so far-fetched. I said, I'm not that vivid, am I? Or, you know, I don't create like that. Although I did take a vivid writing course at UMass, got an ace in it.
You did? Yeah.
But I had to throw my ace paper away because I couldn't let my parents see it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's an old adage, never judge a book by its cover. So it sounds like you struggled with that on your own, even, you know, looking at yourself and saying, do I really have this inside me? Is this really what's going on, or am I a little crazy, or should I write it down? And you know, you were brave enough to take pen to paper and start to collect these works.
Well, here's the other thing that helped me, along with the writing, was that I always listen to music.
Yes.
My mother always had, you know, the Everly Brothers and all these other artists from way back when I was growing up in elementary school.
Sure.
And then I always carried that music with me. And even today, people say, "You listen to who?" I said, "Yeah, I listen to, you know, Metallica and Ozzy and so forth, but I also listen to Lorna McKenna." And they, "Who's that?" You know, I said, "She's a Celtic singer, but she's got very nice folksy type." And then I'll listen to Basia, and I'll listen to some jazz. But I said, I am hard rock metal, but not crazy metal.
Yep.
You know, I like to hear the words. And they say, "You're 65 years old. What the heck you look?" I said, "It's music, and the music has lyrics. The lyrics have words that tell you things."
Right.
And I said, "How do you think a lot of this happened?" I said, "The words spoke to me." I mean, I listened to a song coming down here by Rob Halford, and people say, "Who's that?" I said, "He was the lead singer for Judas Priest, and he's got a song in there called 'She.' And if you listen to that, and you listen to it enough and listen to the words, you'll fall in love with your wife or girlfriend all over again.
Oh, really?
You know, and this guy here is kind of a heavy metal. You know? But if you listen to the words and listen to how this guy expressed himself as a metal singer
Right.
You say, he's not a metal singer. Well, he is.
Well, sometimes I think that that is what makes somebody the most interesting, that what you see on the outside or what you perceive them to be isn't who they really are.
Exactly.
When somebody is really complex, I really love to meet people like that and to get to know them, rather than just, this guy is a phys ed teacher, and you're now in that little niche, that's all you can do.
Right.
I'd like to ask you to read a couple of things. Would you read Shadows in the Dark for us, or anything that you've got in there?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I did.
Did you tag it? Yeah?
Yeah, I did. I didn't know if you wanted to listen to it or not, but
Yes, we want to listen to it.
Shadows in the Night.
Shadows in the Night. It's my fault for
Shadows
saying
in the
dark.
Night. I sometimes forget the titles, but like I said, I woke up to this, and I changed it periodically to make it hopefully sound better, but anyway, it's just what it is, and I should have brought my glasses.
A
but
work in progress. What strength are you? Will mine do it? Probably not.
I think I'll do all right.
Okay.
I always knew the shadows which made my doubles follow me to the destinations so persistent and so quiet. Freely they danced with me like uncontrollable bubbles as light passed to and fro around my silhouette, following every move, every meaning, no trouble. Not thinking shadows to be vile or with treachery, their existence always seemed part of body, not illusion. But lately, a stress builds within to form different chemistry. I bear witness to oddities of the mind, more like delusions, of night shadows that snuff light's mastery. In darkness, shadows should no longer follow, so it seems, but I feel a presence that appears to know me, watch me. To worsen the sense of apparition are the eerie sounds that haunt me from the hidden that I cannot see. The rational thought is that they are mere dreams. How frightening it becomes realizing I haven't slept while haunts play tag about the room, playing with my mind where they invaded and crept, causing my body to quiver, sensing doom. And waves of shivers and goosebumps rise abrupt. In low esteem, I fall easy prey to their schemes, with deterioration of the mind becoming profound. My stallion physique shrivels to a posture obscene. Fear them I must, because they are there, no mistrust. For what reason I don't understand, I am confused. I labor to know their reason, their origin, I must. Understand their intentions with interest, but not amused. And challenge these haunts before I turn to dust. Confrontations in the real world become profound, making anxieties and aggressions more intense. All the while enticing voices more spellbound. Is there correlation, I wonder? Does it make sense that the demons equate with the real world? How sound? How strange the conflicts and voices in my head exhibit not only the night, but also daylight hours. I walk the streets and woods, my mind still led, suggesting that sanity and rational quickly sour, leading my body and spirit to comatose dead. Am I haunted by bored poltergeist, disgruntled ghosts? Is my mind so challenged that it strays from the real? Wandering into gothic fantasy with the dark side as host? Or is there another logic that I fail to see or feel that I must consider and fear most? Understanding the mind's deterioration of perspective allows for self-realization that ghosts are illusion, shadowing me because of lost subjective, turning reality into unknown energy of apparition from the troubled past, chemistry, life, choices, elective. My state of mind is enlightened to face new tests, to travel a path never considered. There are challenges on the new roads of the horizon, to rebuild spiritual graces and inner being, to confront the demons of my shadowy to survive on. For if I continue present journey without mind seeing, I will become the shadow that dances within the demon.
I know that you wrote this book to help raise self-awareness, and I want to talk to you more about that and about the death of your father and your sick mom that you helped care for and all of that. We need to take a break for a moment.
Sure.
When we come back, you'll share that stuff
I think
with us.
that'll be very important to know.
Thank you. I think so too.
Thank you.
We'll be back in a moment with author Vincent Interlande.
Underwriting for the Money Doctor Show is provided by Dr. Glenn Brooks at the office of Glenn Brooks and Spa on the Green. 413-565-4400. drglennbrooks.com. Video broadcast services. Complete marketing services for your business. 480-200-4222. Videobroadcastservices.com. Richard Wiedegardner, LMT. Neuromuscular Massage Therapy. For pain relief, call 413-773-5775. rwmassagetherapy.com. Magic Wings Butterfly Conservatory. 4,000 butterflies flying year-round. 413-665-2805. MagicWings.com. Ryan and Casey Liquors, Main Street, Greenfield. Exploring the world one glass at a time. Weld Communications, Marketing and Publicity. Helping businesses spread the word in the Pioneer Valley and beyond. www.weldwords.com. The law offices of Schatz, Schwartz & Fenton, P.C., specializing in business law, real estate law, trusts, and estate law since 1969. SSFPC.com.
Welcome back to the Money Doctor Show. We're here today with I'm doing it again. Sorry, Chris. Welcome back to the Money Doctor Show. We're here today with author Vincent Interlande, and welcome back.
Glad to be back.
Thanks.
Thank you again.
My pleasure. I do want to talk to you about the passing of your dad and how that really brought this sort of change about where you wanted to write and whatnot. But before we get into that, very briefly, can you tell us what it was like to, when you decided to write, to get this first book in paper, in print, and published?
Last year, 2 years ago, I was finalizing, making a transition from my initial book that I tried to have published, but of course didn't. And so what I did is I consolidated a lot of work, a lot of time and energy, and I was actually living with my mother at the time, and I was just about at the finish line, and she passed away, so it delayed me. But this last 2013, I finally got it all together.
Yeah.
And I said, I've got to get it going, and unfortunately I received some money from various inheritance and so forth. I said, it has to be the opportunity. So I sent it to iUniverse, and we went through the process, took like 3 months. And finally they came up. I found the cover that I liked, sort of blended in what I wanted, and it was really exciting. You know, it was nice to see that I had a book, my name on it and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got a little,
little ego thing
lift,
from writing a book, sure.
And I actually got overzealous, and I had a little disappointment because I thought it would do better, because a lot of people knew me around here. I lived here for most of my life, and didn't do as quite as well as I liked, but it did all right. And then it's still selling through other agencies, and
Well,
Barnes
it's not
and
over
Noble.
yet. That's right.
No, it's not over yet.
Sometimes it takes a while for a book to take off.
I'm kind of an eager guy. That's the
Yeah?
trouble, and so. But I have a lot of people call me and write to me in emails, and they say, don't worry about it. Have
Right.
patience. And I've even had some email me says, it helped bring my relationship back together. I understood exactly what you went through, and how
How nice.
relationships, not just one or two, all relationships, they're all related.
Our producer, Chris Collins, picked this copy up for me while I was ill and wanted to read it. And can you tell us a little bit about where he got this copy? It's a local place.
I used to sell for Whitney Hills Collectibles in Berniston, but they moved to Greenfield, and they had a grand opening. Well, the book came out just the same time he had a grand opening.
Yeah.
So I talked to them about selling it at the time, or having a book signing. So I had a book signing the weekend of their grand opening.
Great.
And it was great. I mean, I brought too many books, of course, but that's all right.
Yeah.
I had
Well, you can't have a book signing and not have enough books.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right,
but
absolutely.
I had people right there from the beginning, and I'm even getting gradual sales as I go along, because I leave a few there.
It's really powerful to have local
And
help like that.
Yeah, exactly. And as soon as I'm done with this interview, I've already talked to Dale Whitney, and she said I can bring him another larger collection
another
there,
box.
so that
Nice.
people, when they do see this interview, maybe they'll be interested in going down and take a look and buying a
so.
book. I mean, I pay them
That's
a
nice.
percentage, which is right.
Standard, right.
Standard, and I've gone through World Eye, but they have a little different policy now, and
Yeah.
so I'll eventually get to them too. But
Okay.
Whitney Hill is.
We won't let you out of here without telling people where to buy the book. In the meantime, tell us a little bit about your dad.
I realized that what I was missing a lot of my life was actually my father, and it's not that he wasn't there. It's just we never made a connection.
Yeah.
When I
He
was
was
young,
off fighting wars and.
Yeah, he was. He went to he was in the Korean War in the Navy, and he's kind of a party goer, but he enjoyed himself. He did his thing, and he came back home and he got into work, and his whole life was a little bit different. He was. So I didn't really see him a lot, but we did things, but the connection wasn't there. But
You didn't have that quite. You said earlier you didn't click. You didn't have that.
no,
bond
we didn't
that-
have a click to
that
it.
you were hoping to have.
We acknowledge each other. We were friends with each other, everything else, but we didn't have what normal fathers and sons might have.
I love that word normal, like anybody has a normal anything.
Yeah, well, to me at the time, that's...
I understand. Yeah.
You know, you think of normalcy. You
right.
know. Well, anyway, it went on for a while, and, you know, we went out as fathers and sons. I have 2 other brothers, and we did things, and we had parties. But it wasn't until 1998, when I opened up a store in Turners Falls called Secondhand Rose, that he started coming around a little bit more. And he started coming to some of the contracting work, jobs I had, and that was okay. But it wasn't until I had the store that he kept coming every day to get new movies to watch.
Yep.
And then by this time, he had situations he had to go to the VA hospitals more, and some of the Mondays weren't that good, so I ended up taking him, and we had long talks. And he liked the casino, so he paid me to take him to the casino.
Yep.
No questions asked, you're taking the money.
Yep.
Well, we played with it anyway.
Yeah, we're somehow connecting, right.
Yeah. So from 1998 to 2003, we finally bonded. You know, we finally had those father and son talks that we never had before.
Nice.
And it was quite humorous.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it was kind of tragic, because he was telling me his heartbreaks and what he's going through at his age. And I came home from work one day and got a message that I had to take him to the hospital. So I took him to the hospital, and spent 6 hours, and 4 different people came in. They didn't know. Anyway, by the end of the week, they said he needed a liver transplant. And this is the interesting part of the story now. He taught me a lot. Every other day I'd go in. Every other day that I wasn't there, my sister went in. And Friday I went in to see him, and I was selling at an auction on a Saturday. And I came home from the auction, come find out he passed away. And it was heartbreaking. And I was, at that time, we were going through all his material and pictures, and I started writing something. And I couldn't get an ending. And then one day I talked to my sister and says, you know, Dad was supposed to get a liver transplant, but they came in on a Saturday, and he said his system wouldn't handle it. When he heard that, my father turned to my sister and said, I guess that's it. And he died within an hour.
Wow.
And I heard that, and I said,
right then.
I knew exactly what to do. He's in the Navy. He's a sailor. He stepped up to the deck for the last time, made a salute, and walked into the horizon.
Wow.
And he did just like that. And my mother almost did the same thing. I had to put her in the hospital coming home from an auction, but I had to come home quick because I kept calling her. She had COPD, so it was a little bit different. And she couldn't breathe that well sometimes. And when I called her to see how she was doing, it was kind of trembling. She couldn't really get. So I called my sister, who lived in Bernston, to come down, and I'm going my way from Amherst. Well, I beat my sister. That's how quick I got there. But to make a long story short, my mother's the type, I'm not going to doctors, I'm not going to hospital. Vermont Yankee. You know. Anyway, her fingernails turned blue, lips. And I sat and looked right at her and said, Mom, I can't do anything for you in the middle of the night. And she had the angel wrist alert. And I says, you have to make a decision. And she didn't leave it up to me. But after about 5 minutes, she pressed the button. And to me, that took a lot for her, because she knew she's going to the hospital. And when I see things like that, that's kind of inspiring, because it's a teaching. And, you know, that's what this book is basically about, mainly for my father and my experiences. But the book was all done before my mother went through hers. And I think people have to take a look at themselves. And that's what happened with this book. Now, I was looking at myself, but we're all, we're all center circle. Everything around the circle comes in at you, right? And you got a radius, you got a diameter, and you got the circumference. Well, everything travels these lines, comes to you. You can select, you can do this. But every line, every radius is a road traveled.
Well, I don't think we could sum it up any better than that. I want people to know where they can get a copy of Emotional Transition. Right
now, Whitney Hills Collectibles at 102 Main Street, Greenfield, has them in stock. I've stocked them as much as I can. Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. And also, iUniverse does send out to all the other book dealers throughout the country.
Vince, thank you very much
for having me. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I was asked to come in.
Until our next chat, Vince Interlande and I will remind you to keep it positive.
There's a better life if I could be debt free, but all my money is a mystery. I was feeling overwhelmed and it was wearing thin when the on the door and heard the doctor's in. Oh, the doctor's in, the doctor's in. She got the right prescription to help you win. Oh, the doctor's in, the money doctor's in.